Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Blue Mage build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. This is a request and similar to the Red Mage that I did in the past, we're going to be going through the full build here with the items that we're going to be equipped. So first things first, we're going to start off with a level of Bard. So the Bard kind of fits the theme of the Blue Mage. So the Blue Mage, a bit of the lore is that they learn their attacks from their enemies. So the Wizard kind of makes sense, but I'm going to get into my thought process for this build. So we're going to start with the Bard, and for the cantrips, I think Vicious Mockery is amazing, so we're going to go with that one. It's fun to use. And then for our second one, if you're the face of the party, take Friends. If not, Minor Illusion is fantastic for stealing or grouping enemies together for other spells. Now, as far as our spells go at level 1, I think that Healing Word is nice for picking up downed allies. And Thunderwave has a good pushback, but I think that we're better off taking something like Longstrider, which is going to increase movement speed by 3 meters, so you can put this on all your teammates. It's a nice buff to have, and it lasts until long rest, so that's one of the best spells that we have here. Dissonant Whispers is nice too. Frighten a creature, and they'll have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, and they cannot move. So that's pretty nice as well. Thunderwave is great for pushback. Speak with Animals can be very useful too, as there's a lot of opportunities for doing that. And I think that this actually goes well with the Blue Mage. Since the Blue Mage is about learning from their enemies, you can also learn from some animals. So we're going to go with that as well. I think that that kind of fits the lore of this class. So we'll go with that one. Now for our starting instrument, you can pick whatever one you want to go with here. I'm just going to take Flute, make it a little different. For our ability scores, now this is where the build gets interesting. So we want to have our Constitution up as high as we possibly can get it without going over there. So we can take our Dexterity up to 16, our Charisma at 16, Constitution 14, or we can bounce this around and put our Constitution up to 16 and leave this at 14. I think this one works a little bit better, having our Intelligence at 12, and this stat distribution works pretty well for us. So we're going to go with that there for level 1. Now, there's some interesting additions that we can do to this class, so I will get into those near the end. But for our next level, we're going to continue with the Bard. Obviously, we get the Jack of all trades, adding our proficiency bonus to ability checks, and we get Song of Rest, giving us an extra short rest. So very useful, especially got like a Warlock, or really anyone on the team that needs a short rest. Animal Friendship can be nice, and I think that this one works well for this build, but Sleep is another one that works a little bit better, I think, or Tash's Hideous Laughter, so pick one of these three. Disguise Self can have its usefulness as well, but Animal Friendship seems to be the one that makes the most sense here for the lore purposes of the build, but I want to take Sleep, because Sleep early on can be a game changer. Combined 24 hit points to put people to sleep is great to have, so we're going to go with that for level 2. And into level 3, this is when we get to pick our subclass. So we get some level 2 spells to choose from here. Hold Person being what I think to be the best here. So hold enemy still, attacks from within 3 meters are criticals and they can't move, act, or react. What's nice about this, it can be upcast. And then also if you get an item in Act 3, you can cast this after attacking. So for our subclass, College of Swords makes some sense, but I think that the College of Lore actually works a little bit better for the purposes of this build, and I'll get into why as we go through the levels. So the subclass feature, we get Cutting Words, use your wit to distract a creature and sap its confidence. That's pretty nice just to have. Distracts. You get to pick 2 skill proficiencies. I like Athletics and Acrobatics for just the ability to resist being shoved and also to shove enemies. Stealth is a nice one too, so we could take Stealth. Something like that, really, whatever works, whatever you need for your own class and your own, the skill proficiencies aren't a big deal. They do add a little bit to your overall repertoire, but add whatever you need for your class. There you go. Sleight of hand, acrobatics, survival, intimidation, performance. So we're going to go with those there. Now into level 4, we get ourselves a feat, and we get another cantrip. So we can go with Mage Hand, which is nice for setting up other teammates. You can throw health potions or water bottles. Level 2 spell. There's 2 really good ones. Clouded Daggers is a nice concentration, doing 44 slashing damage. Heat Metal is another really good one, 2d8 of fire damage, and it's just great for, you give disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks if they're wearing armor. So one of these 2, whatever you prefer between the 2 of them. For our feat, now there's lots of great feats, but I think that the best one to go with is ability improvement. Take our charisma up to 18, so this will give us a plus 4 to our charisma checks. These are spellcasting modifier, so it's going to help out with landing our spells and our crowd control, which is very important. Now at level 3, we get some more awesome spells. I think that Glyph of Warding is probably one of the best here, so you can choose what type of elemental damage it does, or you can choose Glyph of Sleep, really nice to have. And then we also get the improved Bardic Inspiration, increasing our Bardic Inspiration to 1d8, and then also we can regain our Inspiration after short or long rest. So while this isn't as nice as some other classes that get the double attack at level 5, there's still some nice stuff in this class. So next, we got level 6, which gives us another level 3 spell slot. I think that Fear is another good one. It'll make targets drop everything and become fearful. They have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls. What's nice about this, you can pick up their weapon, and they're pretty much out of the fight at that point. Speaking of the Dead also has some use, but there's items that can give that. Plant Growth is another one that I like. No concentration, and it deals, it's going to quarter movement speed, so if you have a Warlock, you can put that in their Hunger of Hadar, and it'll hold them in place, basically. But the big bonus to the Lore Bard is we get the magical secrets at this level. So for this level, I'll take Fear, and then we get 2 magical secrets. So there's lots of great options here that we can choose from. This is basically the most spells from earlier classes. If you want, you can take Eldritch Blast just to have a nice cantrip for damage, but what's nice about Eldritch Blast is it'll also scale off of your level, so you can have 3 beams at level 12. Hunger of Hadar, as I mentioned, is really nice. Counterspell can be great to stop the enemies from casting, so that can be good if you don't find you're using a lot of your spell slots, but I think that's best left for a wizard. I am a big fan of Call Lightning. Lightning strikes all targets within the range. Then for 10 turns, you can call it down without expending a spell slot. What's nice about Call Lightning, you can continually call down lightning without using spells slots, so very useful for just overall damage that you can output. Lightning Bolt's another great one, but I think Call Lightning has more usefulness. Haste is another really great spell. I would honestly prefer having a sorcerer that can twin magic this on another user. That is kind of the best option there. Hunger of Hadar is another really great one. So creatures within this Black Fear blind and take damage at the end of their turn and the start of their turn. It deals 2d6 cold, 2d6 acid damage, so I think that these two are some of the best ones. Fireball is another option. Again, Haste is a really great one. Animate Undead can be pretty useful too. And Lightning Bolt is nice as well. Spirit Guardians being another concentration that could be useful. But we do have a lot of concentrations as a bard, so I think that that's probably the best 2 that we can go with. But there's other options that I mentioned that do work nicely. We also get Counter Charm, so having advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. Pretty good for level 6. So at level 7, we get ourselves level 4 spell slots, and we get a few really good spells. I think Confusion is the best here, so we're going to take Confusion. So this is like Fireball of crowd control. Confuse a group of enemies, causing them to attack at random, wander aimlessly, and occasionally skip their turns in stupor. Very, very useful. So we're going to take that for our level 7 spell, and then at level 8, we're going to take another level 4, and I think that we can even go back and take like Plant Growth, which the reason I think Plant Growth is great is because it can cause creatures to stop moving. It has their movement speed quartered. So if you put down Hunger of Hadar and then put Plant Growth, which doesn't require concentration, they don't move, basically. So they'll take continual damage. That's one of the best uses for Plant Growth, I believe, is just doubling up your efficiency of the Hunger of Hadar. But Greater Invisibility has some uses. Dimension Door to take you and an ally around the battlefield could be nice. For our feat, there's a couple that work well here. I think the Dual Wielder is a really nice one, so you can dual wield to weapons that aren't light, but I think ability improvement and taking our charisma up to 20 is our optimal route here. So another option is if you're the face of the party, you can use the Hag's Hair to take your charisma up. Like if you were to change that to 17 when we started, take it up 1 more, you could also you get the charisma of 20 that way. And then if that's the case, take Constitution or Dexterity. One of those 2 works well, but we're going to go full charisma for the purpose of this build, because not everyone is playing as their tab with these builds. Now we get level 5 spell slots here, and I think that Hold Monster, Paralyze a creature, can't move, react, or act, and attacks from 3 meters always critical is perfect. This is a very useful spell. Planar Binding also makes sense for the Blue Mage, since they are all about learning from their enemies, and this one you take over an enemy, so we're going to go with Hold Monster here for this level, but you can already tell what we're going to be going with for our next level. So at Bard level 10, we get another cantrip. Take anything but True Strike, Light, Friends, you name it. For our spells, we're going to be taking Planar Binding to attach our consciousness to an otherworldly creature. This gives us the ability to just have them fight on our side. It fits the theme of the Blue Mage very well. So that's the reason why I think we should take that. And then at level 10, we get our second dose of magical secrets. So there's some really great options here. I really like Cone of Cold because there's a lot of damage that you can do with this, 8d8 of cold damage. And this also will scale double damage if you have water set up. So that's 128 damage max with Cone of Cold, and it hits in a very large area of effect. I'm a big fan of Cone of Cold. I think that this is one of the best spells here. Conjure Elemental could be another nice one too, because you can use this to pop up another ally on your side. It can be upcast at level 6 to get Myrmidons, which are very nice. There's some other great options though. Guardian of Faith's okay. Ice Storm can call down ice, and I think that the Blue Mage should have Cone of Cold. They have water magic, and Cone of Cold is the closest thing we got with cold magic, and it does a lot of damage, so I think that that's fantastic. And also Conjure Elemental to get the Water Myrmidon at level 6, and then what we can do is we can pop them in, they can create water on enemies, and then we can use the Cone of Cold to blast them with cold damage. So very effective synergy there. We also get some more skills here. We can take athletics and acrobatics. So that looks pretty good for our next level. We also get the Bardic Inspiration up to a 1d10. So very nice. The Magical Seeks is really great. We could swap out some of the earlier spells if you want to take something different from here, but I do think that it's probably best to stick with what we got. So we're going to keep it like that. Magical Secrets is really nice, though. There's a few other options, like the Banishing Smite's another option that's only effective for the Bard. Like, the Bard's the only one who can get this. Possibly banish your target to another plane of existence, and targets with 50 health points or more cannot be banished. So it does have some limited usefulness. That's why I think that these two are probably the best options for overall damage output, and then also having an ally on your side. Now, at level 10, or level 11, we get ourselves the level 6 spells. Eye Bite, Otto's Irresistible Dance are our two options here, and they're pretty good. So I think that Eye Bite's nice because you can put someone to sleep with no check. That's really effective if you have an enemy that you just need to take out of battle and you don't want to have to deal with anything else. But also Otto's Irresistible Dance is a great option. It makes them start dancing and they can't stop. But this used to be a lot better. It used to be 10 turns and you would not lose your ability, but they can succeed on a wisdom saving throw and break out of Otto's Irresistible Dance. So it's Otto's Resistible Dance now. So Eye Bite or Otto's Irresistible Dance, whatever you prefer. I think Eye Bite is a little bit better, but for this build, I'm going to take Otto's Irresistible Dance. And then that's that for level 11. At level 12, we will get ourselves another feat and the ability to take Eye Bite if you want. But I do think another option we can go with is, as I mentioned earlier, the Wizard. With the Wizard, they can learn any spell slot for free. If you go this route, I would not have taken Conjure Elemental in the last one because you can learn that through the Wizard spellbook. But you could also learn Conjure Minor Elemental alongside this and have I guess with Minor Elemental you can get the Ice methods, which work really well with the Water build. So for our cantrips, Ray of Frost and Shock and Grasp are two that are really great. It also will double damage in water. And then Firebolt. Bone Chill will be nice, can stop a target from healing, so some Act 3 fights, this will completely shut them down. Now, as far as our spells go from this selection that we got here, I think Shield is one of the best, increase armor class by 5 as a reaction. Ice Knife can be a nice one. Magic Missile is good for consistent damage, and you're never going to miss with Magic Missile. Chromatic Orb for changing the damage type to lightning damage, very useful. Find Familiar is also nice just to have a familiar, and then Fog Cloud can be good for blinding and heavily obscuring a target. So I think those are the best, but Expeditious Retreat, gain dash immediately and uses bonus action each of your turn. That can be nice. So something along the lines of that. And then for our prepared spells, Shield and Magic Missile. So that's all we can prepare from this, but if you have any scrolls, you can swap them out. And alternatively, you could put some different stat attributions around and take our intelligence up a little bit higher. And I'll get into like the weapon choice here that can make that happen. So yeah, something like that looks good for the Bard here. Now this is more of like a casting build, so it's pretty good at what it does, but I want to get into like the gear for this build. The Birthright Cap is ideal because that'll give us a 22 to Charisma, giving us a +6 to our Charisma checks. Cloak of Protection is nice for +1 to armor class, and then also the boots give +1 to armor class, really nice. Volconia's Priestess Robe is good just for our armor class is not fantastically high, but With this, we can, I'll obviously swap it out. It was more so for the aesthetics that I put it on there. So we can take any light armor here. So there's like the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation, which can be pretty good. Take our armor class up to 18 because the +2 to armor class. Or even a Robe of the Weave, which is useful. If you have any light armor, that could be an option too. Or even if you get the Helldusk armor. Helldusk armor is fantastic. Take their armor class up to 23, so we don't even really have to think about that. Now, ideally, we'd be able to dual wield weapons, but we got ourselves a rapier here, so it's best to probably take like a shield, like Viconia's Waking Fortress. That takes our armor class up to 23. Gloves of Dexterity sets our Dexterity at 18. It does not have to be this for the item. The Helldusk Gloves will add a 1d6 of damage as well to your attacks, so that's really nice for overall damage output. And then you can even go with like the Amulet of Greater Health to take our Constitution up, so you can dump your other stats if that's the case and go all in on Intelligence. That's another option that we do have that I should mention here. I like the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel too. After hitting creature with a weapon attack, you can cast an illusion or enchantment spell as a bonus action. So we're mostly going to be using our spells to cause havoc here, but we also can, if we want to use crowd control, any of our enchantment or our illusion spells we can cast as a bonus action. So if you want to use anything enchantment related, attack and then use as a bonus action. Otherwise, our typical setup would be like casting Hunger of Hadar to completely shut down that area, and then using Plant Growth to also stop movement from entering or leaving that area. So whenever we have this set up, people are pretty much stuck in there and they really can't like escape it, so they become blinded and trapped in our Hunger of Hadar. And then to add insult to injury, you could also add a Glyph of Warding and put like a damaging glyph there, or a sleep glyph so they fall asleep in the Hunger of Hadar. So there's a lot of really good options here. Cold Hunger of Hadar to double up on the cold damage. And then if you also have like Create Water set there, that's going to be doubling the cold damage. And then you can just blast it with Cone of Cold. So while there's not really water attacks, I think this is the closest that we can get to a Blue Mage in Baldur's Gate 3. If you have any other suggestions for this build, please leave them in the comments below. I'm always curious to see any people's thoughts on these things. Thank you so much for watching, and if this video was useful, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you all in the next video.